And we're back. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we?
Good. Doing well. Been busy. Just been busy. It was a chilled weekend, but it started off with a bang yesterday. We established very quickly that our good friend Grant is still not 100%. He tried to attend several meetings and was not well at all. He is getting better, but still not in the swing of it. So it looks like everyone's stuck with us for another session. Sorry about that. So what's happening? What's happening out there? What's
happening in the world? It is even more crazy. There's never a dull day, never a dull week in the markets, whether it's crypto, whether it's real life, whether it's NFTs, whether it's collectibles, whether it's China, whether it's like America. There's always something somewhere going on. So it always makes our life a little bit more interesting, exciting, and fun. They say market commentary in the markets is boring right now. I would say otherwise.
Yeah, it definitely is very interesting, very exciting. I mean, we know we're at close to bottom at the moment, just purely because we've entered into the real fighting stage. People are fighting with one another. People are disagreeing with one another. Fortunately, we are not doing a lot of that. I mean, we do on occasion, but it's pretty relaxed. I mean, I think the start to today's stream is just to take a look at what's happening in the markets, and then we'll go on to just looking at various topics. I know that there's been quite a lot of questions, Dan, around a really cool report that you did on tracking whale wallets and trying to find an edge, especially in the microcap market. But obviously there's relevance around tracking whale wallets beyond just microcaps and shitcoins. It's very useful to know, what the big players are doing and what smart money's doing. I mean, obviously this isn't a new thing. I mean, Nansen is very successful for a reason. Obviously they've got a very expensive option there. I mean, and just for the record, we're not trying to shill them or anything like that. It's it's a very useful tool, those guys. And you were basically like looking at it from a more practical perspective in terms of doing it yourself and not having to spend all that money. And we'll chat about that. Just I eventually got to the point of that. Apologies. And then just what's happening, just in general, Reddit, and there's a couple other things that we'll cover. But just going on to the markets, what are you seeing at the moment? What are your perspectives around what's happening at the moment in terms of what we reported last week?
Well, I was kind of wrong last week. I thought we were going to have like a few more days of green because there wasn't much news. But turns out, even when there's no news, there wasn't a huge amount of up. But we are now at we're basically reaching like a touching point. You can see this as like a point of resistance. Two things are going to happen. Either we get the breakout at 3,800, and depending on what time frame you'll see it on, this is where it's coming up to the 800 EMA. It's just coming up to point of resistance. If we break it, we should then move up to like the 4,000 mark. If not, we'll make our leg down. And the leg down, you see we've got that rather large green candle just to the left. We'll come back down and test that zone, which I think on the chart is like the 3,400 to 3,500 mark. If that breaks, then we'll go right the way down to the 3,200 to 3,300 level. Why do I believe that? Well, if you were to scroll all the way to the right, there's a massive imbalance in the chart that hasn't actually been filled in that zone, in the 3,200 to 3,300 zone, which is where I do think we will see at least a wick go down there on the S&P, or we might spend some time chilling there before we go up.
Yeah, on this wick, yeah.
No, so it'll be right the way over to the left. So you see where we've got that further down is about 3,200 to 3,300. Yeah. So there's
this could. The thing is, Dan. I mean, that essentially sets up for what would be the final capitulation around this. I mean, there was always a discussion around, like, where is the next level? And the next level's here, right? It's that 40%, the 40% from this wick. It's here actually. So it's 35%. It's that there. I mean, obviously that's worst case scenario, right? I mean, that's an absolute, that's GGWP essentially.
Oh yes, good game.
And I mean, it's crazy that we're sitting and we're looking at this chart. I mean, it just still gets me, in terms of what's transpired with crypto over the last 8 to 10 years, and now we're sitting here looking at this. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, I mean, just moving onto the Dixie. The Dixie tried a couple of things yesterday. I've got the Ali on now. I just wanted to kind of like demonstrate this aggressive rejection that it had over here. Obviously, like it's pretty much its resistance point, right, at 113. Unfortunately, it hasn't been able to break it, fortunately. But we know that the dollar is strong. I mean, you spoke about it a little while ago. But fortunately, we're still in this range, and it hasn't managed to break through here, because I think if it does, it's pretty much the same as as the S&P 500. If it goes, it'll pretty much force the issue into that really bad zone.
Yeah.
And then obviously going on to the yields, government bond yields. I mean, it's just up only for these things. I mean, this thing also, the 2-year, not as prominent as the 10, but obviously the 10 is, you can kind of see it over there on the, let's just get the daily up.
Either way, it's huge what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's up only, isn't it? I mean, this is just insane.
Have a look. Yeah.
It looks like a DeFi shitcoin.
Mate, it's literally like a full send shitcoin right now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, anyways, so what I found really interesting, just from my perspective, and you can obviously just please, if you want to just go with this narrative, is that one of the guys that like I really respect from a trading perspective is, and you should go and follow him, guys. His name's Trader Tim on Twitter. He was saying that like he really hates it when Bitcoin does nothing, So yesterday, what we saw in the market is, obviously this is a small glimpse. It's not by any stretch of the imagination like anything beyond just noting behavior, behavior on these coins. So ETH yesterday had quite a decent day. Like, if you look at kind of like just on the hourly, you can see like it had a decent day. It wasn't great, because what happened was the SPX hit resistance, and then the resistance started affecting ETH. I mean, it was also incredible to watch, like SPX chart, ETH chart next to one another. As soon as the S&P 500 moves, ETH reacts immediately. And what was interesting about this is, and just coming back to what Tim was saying, is he hates trading anything in the market when Bitcoin does nothing and ETH reacts to TradFi, because what follows from that is that generally things crash really hard. And listen, Tim, he's very seldom wrong. Like he calls stuff on those low time frames and even on the high time frames, and he really does get it right. And if you look at Bitcoin, it really does like speak to, like, I've got on the 4-hourly, even on the hourly, you can see it's just like it did nothing yesterday. It just stayed in one area, and everything else was reacting. And then you got your outliers like Optimism. I mean, Optimism was just flying yesterday. I've got it on the hourly as well. And then you can see on the daily as well, like, it's just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days straight where it's just gone straight up. And yeah, I mean, that's 4-hourly. This is like, it's been really, really profitable for people who have got, you know, big stop losses to long this. Obviously, gets a little bit tricky if you don't have big stop losses, but you know, if you got deep pockets, this was an obvious one as an outlier. I think there were a couple of others, but this was the one that I was watching. I'm sure you guys have all got, you know, ones that you've played. I think Sushi was also pretty strong, but a lot more volatile as opposed to Optimism. Your thoughts on this, Dan?
Can you see like all of? So what I've learned a lot is that charts are just basically where the market maker wants to go. The market maker is literally just trying to catch liquidity in liquidity runs. So you can see every time there's like one big massive candle, whether it's down or up, it will always get recovered in one way, shape, or form. So if we look at this chart here, you've got the large red candle to the downside. That has now just been recovered here to the right. You see? So you see the far left?
This?
No, all the way to left. Yeah, so you see that was the original one. Okay, so it's come out of its kind of like squeeze. It's broken down to the downside. Now it's only now, you know, you fast forward like, I don't know what, 10 days, the market makers come up to recover it. So what you can see on this chart is at these lows, so this is where all the market maker will be like building their longs to then full send it, which is, you know, obviously what they've done here over the last, like, what, I don't know, couple of days, so that to full send it. Yeah. Now you'd expect there to be some kind of retracement to at least half the size of whatever wick is, or sorry, whatever candle's there, before either a next leg. Now we got to be wary of today or mindful this week is today you've got consumer confidence coming out, and then at the end of the week you've got the PC, so the core PC numbers. Now, I'm sure the market makers know roughly what's going to happen. So depending on which way it's going to go, they'll know whether it's positive or negative. Now, they will be setting up themselves to profit maximally from whatever the news is. So if the news is good, they want to profit from that. If the news is bad, they want to profit in that by setting the charts up in such a way to trap the retail traders to go the wrong way. Now, what's super interesting on Ethereum, you can see there's an imbalance at the 1312 to about like the 1325. We've also got one a little bit lower down in like the 1256 or 1250 to like 1280, 1290 zones. So these are two areas you want to keep an eye on, because whether it's a large wick that goes down, at some stage it is likely that it will be recovered. If news is bad and there is a lot of liquidity sitting there right now, then there will be more down before potentially more up. And then when there is the good news, you know, the market makers would have built their longs in this area, and they might have trapped the retail short, so then absolutely full send it.
Thank you, sir, for that. And that's very much in line with, you know, like the lower time frame traders and, you know, how they break it down and they look for that liquidity, and we are those liquidity areas, and then obviously calling the longs and the shorts for leverage trading. Yeah, I mean that's high grade stuff. You got to know your stuff. You got to be disciplined. It's not straightforward. But I suppose that's why only 5% of people make money in markets, and the other 95% lose. Interesting one.
Like just that dig. Okay, now go on, Aptos.
Yeah, I mean, so Aptos has been a really interesting one. Probably, I don't actually remember the last time I saw this much negative sentiment from a crypto Twitter perspective. Probably in the last 2 to 3 years. I actually I don't even think Three Arrows Capital had this much negative sentiment. I've never seen so many threads on how useless this chain is, from, you know, poor delivery, overpriced, just you name it. It was out there. Yet it's had an incredible run. Everyone's been shorting it, and it just keeps on running. And just based on what I've seen already, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing has like a little leg down and then it just gets squeezed back up again. It just won't surprise me. I mean, obviously it's super volatile, you know, just all over the place. But it's been an interesting one, you know, and then you see, You know, like then you see people talking about how there's liquidity in the ecosystem. You know, things are happening. Dexes are coming up. It's happening. It's like the market has determined that Aptos has relevance, and it doesn't matter what people on crypto Twitter think. This thing has got its own life, and it's going to continue. And I'm just fascinated, absolutely fascinated by the fact that people are interested in it, people are investing in it, and like somebody said, I mean, I was just reading a comment on Twitter where there's money to be made. They will be coming and they will be spending. And that's what's happening right now. So it doesn't actually matter what it is that you think, whether you think this thing is shit, whether you think it is overpriced. Nobody cares what you think because the market has determined otherwise at this point. Do I think it will go down to this level here? I think it might. There's a very good chance that it will. But right now, it's doing whatever the market is wanting it to do, and it's actually fascinating to see.
Yeah, I can see it. If it doesn't reverse at like this stage now, checkpoint 1, if we're just looking at the hourly, checkpoint 1 8.75, checkpoint 2 come down to 8.13, and then it will fully recover the move it's down to 7.56. However, it's right now, it keeps bouncing between its like psychological high and psychological low. And at the moment, it's kind of like in that mid range. Maybe a pump up to the daily open to recover the candle at 9.5, 9.53 before shooting down. But let's see.
I mean, it's very difficult to chart it. You only have, 4 days? You know, it's like 5 days. It's an impossible one to chart. But the volumes that this thing has seen on all exchanges has been absolutely mind-blowing. Really, it has. And I think there's a lot of people that are underwater right now, a lot of shorts that are underwater. You know, we guys started shorting it here. You know, like thinking like, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to go down. And then shorts start opening here and then it bounces. And it's like fascinating. This has been an absolute fascinating one to watch. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I've placed no bets on this. I haven't gotten involved. I just find that it's way too risky. But I think the guys who have been degenning into this, obviously, if they've been running longs, they've been doing very well. I mean, obviously, this period here is sketch, very sketch. But let's see where it goes. I mean, it looks like it might be. Maybe it's on its way down. Who knows? Let's see. Maybe it does this. It's going to be interesting nonetheless. Tell us about Reddit. We spoke about, when was it? July, August. We spoke about NFTs. Yeah.
Dude, we've been speaking about Reddit for ages, from like the ability to have like a Reddit wallet, the fact that Polygon was creating, it was the network that they were going to have their like NFTs, which they've cleverly called collectibles. You find that a lot of like terms in the crypto space right now come with a lot of negativity. So the fact that it's just a collectible avatar, which is kind of going back full circle back to when you were playing your video games and you had your avatar. You didn't have an NFT, you had an avatar. Your little avatar was your little personal profile. And what they've done over the last month or so is they've released different collectible avatars, and these are like created by people within the Reddit community. So the ones that are rocking at the moment, they do it in like series. So let's have a look at this. So there's kind of like a spooky season one at the moment, and there's a website called redditfloor.com. You can kind of see like the prices of the top ones at the moment. Number one, which is called The Hands, and I think it's from the collection The Senses. So that's currently sitting at about 15 ETH. You got quite a cute one, Midas Touch for spooky season, which is a pure gold one, which is sitting at 13.3 ETH at the moment. Don't know if you've got the website to hand, but what they've done is they've made them look really cool and cute, and they've made them look fun. And what I was doing this morning is you can actually create your own one, just your own normal avatar or whatever. So then you can kind of like join in. But these are all like dedicated to like artists within the community, which is pretty cool. I think we mentioned before that I think Reddit's going to be one of those platforms that helps like mass adoption come, because if you've got like, there we go, look at that. So this just gives you the idea of the floor prices and the latest collections that are there.
Yeah, so just for any of you that are listening on a podcast, the website is redditfloor.com, one word, and it basically shows you the floor prices of these digital collectibles that Reddit obviously have created a platform for. So, I mean, how do you create these? What's the process here?
So you go onto their website, and I think as a creator, you can create a collection, submit it there. If you just want to make your own little avatar, you just go to a Reddit website, click on avatar, and then you can just make your own. That won't become a collectible, because a collectible is like a series, for example. Hence why I've got like the Halloween and like spooky ones now. But I think this is a great win for like Polygon. I think it's a great win for the broader community. And the fact that when the wallet goes live on Reddit, that's literally bringing in 400 million degens straight into, gives 400 million degens the ability to go into the Web3 space, which at the end of the day, that's huge. That's massive.
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah, I mean, you've been speaking about this for a while. You've been kind of like, you get very perky when you chat about the Polygon ecosystem, and it's, you know, from my perspective, it almost seems like it's like it's under the radar, you know, like it's not something that people are talking about a lot. And I think there's definitely a strong motivation and argument for Polygon going into, you know, any upside in the markets. I think they're going to do really well. They seem to have their house in order, and I think this is just another good example of, you know, just slowly grinding away, just keeping your eye on the ball, and, you know, really just capitalizing on where's the demand right now. You know, what is the demand? There's a demand around this. I mean, it's clearly 15 ETH for, you know, for this little avatar. And the genius around this thing is, from Reddit's perspective, the way that I see it, and I was seeing that someone also mentioned this early on, is like removing the negative sentiment around the idea or the phrase of an NFT. And we can thank, obviously, you know, the Board Yacht Ape Club and the cringe that they brought to the space. Well, I'm not a fan, as you know. And I think that was a really good move on Reddit's part. I mean, you mentioned it early on. I think it's like solid, you know, solid. Let's see, you know, it's almost like they strategically sat down and said, how do we create our own path in this whole narrative? And, well, let's just call it digital collectibles. Let's actually create something that could be quite appealing. And it won't surprise me if this thing just continues to gain momentum, and for these NFTs, or should I say these digital collectibles, remain valuable within the space, as opposed to, I mean, obviously there'll be, you know, like market sentiment, but it'll be interesting to see whether they do maintain their value. Let's revisit and see what the story is.
And let's be honest, out of anywhere online, who is generally the most powerful community out there? Who would you say it is?
Probably Reddit.
Yeah, it's Wall Street Bets, right? What did they do with GME and AMC during the bull run? Now,
huge.
The guys at Polygon, they're smart, right? So they're doing all this work now. And I can imagine you'll get, like, you know, the Wall Street Bets chief, or like the Wall Street Bets mods. When the time is right and the bull run comes back, being in the pockets of them or with them is going to be huge. Now, you know, if you want to, nobody thought GME was going to go close to $400, right? Could Polygon go to $10 in the next bull run? Like, if you want to see like pushing of it, that's huge. And then look at Robinhood. Let's say Robinhood get on the Polygon network, right? And they start like pushing Polygon and Matic and whatever with Reddit and the collectibles. That's huge, man. If you genuinely wanted to punt one of like the $20 collectibles for like the bull run, whenever that may be, I'm obviously no financial advice. I'm just a child with a laptop sitting in a basement, in Goblin Town. But, that could be, $20 that's a good investment for like the future based on the power of the community, which crypto and I guess stocks, you know, kind of are to some degree or massive degree.
Yeah, I mean, because we like to, and I completely agree with you. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And just, you know, because we like to bring alpha to the space, I think there is a little bit of alpha here. I think the alpha here is pay attention to what Polygon is doing. There is, I believe that there probably is opportunity if you've got the time and the energy to get stuck in. There probably is quite a lot of players that will unfold in this Reddit community digital collectibles space. And I think that a lot of the successes that the crypto NFT space saw during the period of last year, I bet will end up being quite successful if approached in a similar way with this whole thing in the digital collectible space that is Reddit. I think there probably will be some viable players that can be made that could be replicated from what happened last year. I just don't have the time. I don't have the ability to do that because we're super busy at the moment. You know, we've got a lot of content coming out, and we'll speak about that in a bit. But I wanted to just move on around just kind of like your thoughts and almost just do like a rehash on what it is that you covered in the newsletter with monitoring whale wallets. Just share your thoughts around that. I mean, it's something that, I mean, obviously we've spoken about a lot. It's something that, you know, we've tried to put together some projects around this, but obviously being very busy with other stuff, it hasn't really happened. Share your thoughts, please, sir, and you know what you shared in that newsletter.
If you want an edge on the market, it's wallet watching. As soon as someone gets announced on Twitter, it's too late. As soon as something gets announced in Telegram, it's likely too late, but it's a little bit sooner than Twitter. If you can spend the time monitoring wallets, finding them, seeing what they've aped into, seeing when they aped into it, you know, how much they aped into it, how much profit they actually made, then that's going to give you the edge that you need on this market. Now, it doesn't matter what area of the market you want to go into. So in the newsletter, I said, look, you know, you got to define what it is that you want to achieve from these wallets and what you actually want to find. Like, do you want to find NFT whales, or do you want to find NFT traders? Do you want to find, you know, shitcoin traders? Do you want to find, you know, big, you know, CMC 100 traders? Great example. There was a link whale, and you know, whenever he bought something, it would be all the way before a pump. You know, when he moved it to an exchange, it'd sell it, it'd obviously dump, right? So you can look at whales in a number of different ways. Once you find out what it is you actually want to research and look into, go and find the charts. You know, go and find like you know, a shitcoin chart or a Uniswap style chart and have a look at it. You know, at what point does it look like there was an insider? You know, what point does it look like somebody knew something right before something pumped? You can look for those areas on the chart. You can go right to the start. You can look at the snipers and the bots that got in. Let's be honest, these bots, there's going to be two types of bots: the bots that ape everything, and then the bots that ape strategically. You kind of want the ones that ape strategically, right? If you're going to look for those really early guys. I personally, all I care about is, I don't really care about CT influencers. Most of the time they've got fresh wallets, so I'm really not fussed about finding them. I've got some, but I'm not too worried about them because their wallets on some coins don't do much. They'll use a fresh wallet, fantastic. I want to find the traders. I want to find the top 10 Uniswap traders. I want to find the guys who clearly know something and know something very, very often. So you find the wallet, you do your analysis on it, you add it to a watch list that you've got, you see what the notifications are, you see, and if you want to play safe, and I've been playing like super safe recently, see what their most recent plays are over the next week, assess those plays, then you can make a judgment of whether you want to ape and you want to follow this guy, or you want to spend a bit more time. I like to have like a golden number, anywhere between like 10 and 20 good wallets at any one time. So then you can kind of see trends between all these guys. Are these guys, are these wallets related in some way because they're aping the same things at a very similar time? Or are they through different crews? But it is the one thing that you want to do in order to get yourself an edge.
So in terms of monitoring those wallets, you're obviously getting alerts on those wallets. Is there a bot that does that for you in Telegram, or are you using something else?
Yeah, so you can set yourself up on like something like Zerion. So Zerion's just one of these, portfolio trackers, wallet trackers that you can have. You can put a wallet in, add it to your watch list, and then allow notifications. Then while you're busy at work, you're typing and typing, your boss is giving you all this. You get a boom, you get a notification on your top screen saying, so and so has aped X amount of ETH into this coin. Great, somebody's just aped 5 ETH into something. That's something I want to have a look at. Boom. Let's have a look. Let's pull the chart up. Let's go. Obviously don't buy it straight away because they might have bought after a pump, on a pump, whatever, but add that to your watch list. I'm a massive Telegram user. Like I feel like I live my life in there. So there's a number of different wallet trackers in there that you can use. There's one called, you've got Ether Drops, which is probably the most famous one. And that gives you the chart. It give you it give you the coins. It give you whether they swapped ETH into coin into ETH, or if they received it as well. If they've received it, it might be a legitimate airdrop because they were early into something, or it might be a scammy dev sending coins to these big addresses. So then people get excited. So, big cool CT influencer just received X amount of like shit coin. Let me go buy it. Turns out it's a honeypot. So it's a great way to do your due diligence as well.
So, I mean, can we provide some links in terms of these trackers and the rest of it in the description? Are you keen to do that? We just put some links around what people can access, or do you want to keep that in? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll do that. I mean, it seems like there's quite a big move around kind of like this whole shitcoin space at the moment. There's a lot more happening. I mean, what are your thoughts around that? Am I correct in that assessment?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but you need to in the shitcoin, you need to have an edge. You need to have an edge. You need to be as fast as you are patient, because you can get too excited in the up that you forget that it's going to dip, and on that dip there are other people waiting for it to go up. Depending on how the chart looks, let's just say, golden wallet number 1 apes 5 ETH, and you're thinking, he looks like he's just aped 5 ETH at the top. The chart's not moving. The chart's been completely dead. It looks weird. Put that one on your watch list, because chances are he might be buying something long before it full sends and like pumps. So there's a lot of due diligence to do.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that is essentially the moral of the story, is that there's just a whole lot of work that's going on at the moment. You got to work harder. You've got to basically be so focused and so diligent around this whole thing. Whether you're running leverage trades, whether you are, spot swing trading, whether you are shitcoining, there really is no easy route here. And you can get really caught out. I mean, I know it's been really tough from my perspective, to the extent that I'm just going to focus on work, because if I want this to work for me, I'm going to have to put the time in, and then I'm not going to have time for what it is that we're doing at Blockmates. And the decision for me is an easy one. I don't have an edge unless I put the time in, and I just don't have the time to do it. So it's an easy one. I mean, as much as I am a degen and I'm hooked and I love doing it, I got to just step away and say, you know what, I'll focus on what's more important, and that is that we've got a business to build here that's a whole lot more fun, and that's a lot more rewarding than getting trades blowing up in my face. So yeah, it's an easy decision, as much as the addiction makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
And
like if you really wanted to go deep into it, there are other tools out there. There are like trading bots on like Telegram that you can use to like buy and sell. So my MetaMask is it's crap. It's shit. It's so slow sometimes that you're trying to load it up and it just doesn't load. And by the time it goes through, you know, you've already missed the first 4 or 5 X's. You've then accidentally aped on top. So there are tools out there. I won't go into too much detail on the names and whatever, but there are tools that you can have in Telegram that you put the contract in, how much you want to buy. Fantastic. Click buy, goes through within seconds because it's going behind the scenes. Same with sell. So if you can see something selling and your MetaMask is going slow, whatever wallet, you can sell really quick. There are like copy trading bots out there as well, where you'll put the wallets in, you put the amount that you want to ape in, and then it literally just simply mirror trades that person. 2 types of like mirror trades you can do. You can mirror trade sniper bots, which get in super early. Again, you need to do your due diligence on these because some snipers will ape every single live pair. Others will like ape not as frequently, but their plays will be better. So these guys obviously know something. You got front runners as well, which are a bit of a pain in the ass. And if you get like a zero tax play, you can get absolutely destroyed. And I've got absolutely destroyed by a Mev bot before. Literally, front runner guy, Mev bot, boom, done. So you got to be careful. But there are tools out there if you take your time to do your research, and then if you do have some like spare shrapnel lying around, some lunch money, put it in and see, because if you'd have if you'd have mirror traded some of the contracts that came out last week, you'd have been sitting on 6 figures from $70.
And then obviously, I mean, let's be very clear. This is by no stretch of the imagination financial advice.
No.
Absolutely not. We have no qualification to do that. We're just talking about stuff from an entertainment perspective. There's just no ways that we could, in any reality, advise anybody around this stuff. I mean, this is casino stuff.
This is once in a lifetime kind of like plays.
Yeah, I mean, this is going into casino and putting it on a number, not even on red and black. It's just putting it on a number. And we're just here just letting you know that this is what people are doing. So, yeah, just to reiterate, entertainment purposes only, guys. Just be careful. Be very careful with this. And pretty much, don't go and bet your whole house on it, because that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Just continue with your work to earn stuff for now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been covering quite a lot. I mean, we've spoken about moving on from that. Thank you, sir, for your insight into the weird and wonderful world of microcap shitcoins. Not for me. It doesn't work for me. I'm not interested. I just don't have the time. Like I said, I have other things and better things to take care of. I wanted to just take a moment and just chat about what it is that we've been doing at Blockmates, just in terms of the articles. I mean, we've seen quite a lot happening with Hero. As you know, Hero sponsors us. We are very close to Hero. We obviously speak favorably around Hero, but we speak favorably around Hero not only because they're our sponsor. We also really think they've got a good thing going. We've been doing quite a lot of kind of open panel discussions. We have uploaded some streams. They're in beta at the moment. They've got a options trading beta that's happening, and perps. They've opened their staking for Hero itself, and obviously fees that are being generated from the Hero network go to the stakers. So that's live now. And the next phase in their whole thing is that they will be launching an NFT style whitelist, which will entitle what they term and what they deem to be called immortals, which will then give you preferential fees off the network itself, and it will be an NFT as well. There has been discussion around creating a market around these NFTs, and there'll only be 500 of them. That will entitle people to earn rewards that are actually better than the majority of people at stake. So I think their strategy around this is to create a community orientated pool where Hero will be staked and VE Hero will then be rewarded to those NFT holders. So it really is about community participation and getting on the whitelist. If you attend the events that we are running, you stand in line to be considered. So snapshots get taken and then you'll be considered for that whitelist. So they just want participation. They want involvement. They believe that, as do we. I mean, Blockmates has been successful because of the community that we have and that we've been so indebted to, and they see that and they want to do the same within the Hero network. And then the second part of this is that they are seeing projects that are very much interested in onboarding on the Hero network, because Hero is a network where they want to encourage derivatives, options, and pari-mutuel traders to come in, whether they're providing liquidity or whether they are creating projects that will allow for people to trade and be degens at the end of the day. That's what we were saying. Projects are becoming relevant in the space that cater for the degens and for traders and for, the TradFi world. Other stuff that we've been working on, got some interesting stuff coming up with Layer Zero. I think that's going to be a strong narrative. I think that is a bit of alpha for those that are, out of the loop. I think Layer Zero was, in many ways, correctly and incorrectly represented around Stargate, and where the market was at the time didn't do Layer Zeros any favor from a narrative perspective. But Layer Zero is incredible because you can essentially access all chains, all liquidity across all chains in one place. That's what Layer Zero does. It's essentially a communication mechanism that allows you to go cross-chain. Interoperability it's everything, not having to bridge, the risks around bridging and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be chatting to a number of projects in the space that we believe are at the forefront, from whether it's just straight Layer Zero exchanges to cross-chain, yield optimization. Tapioca DAO is one that's come on our radar. They look like they're doing some pretty cool stuff. And then there's Interswap, which is not, they're still in development phase, but there's a couple of them, that really look like they're going to provide really good narrative kind of plays in the Layer Zero space. So is there anything else that you'd like to chat about, Dan, or are we done?
No, I think we've covered. Everything today, to be fair.
Okay. I think there's obviously the obligatory like and subscribe, please. It looks like we're getting more views. It looks like there's more of you coming to the party, and we appreciate it. We appreciate you, giving the likes and the views. It's really cool to see. People are what make this thing, happen for us. So yeah, please like and subscribe to the newsletter. We've had some really cool feedback from people in the community and on Twitter around the newsletter. So thanks for that. And if you've got any suggestions, please send us a message, send us a DM, send us, come on our Discord and let us know how you feel about stuff. Yeah, and that's about it. I think we're done.
On that bombshell, have a good day.
Cheers all. Take it easy out there. All the best.